recording because I want to see
Whoa.
the reaction on Jada's face when she gets in here. See if she realizes what's going on. Maybe. Where is
Maybe.
she? There she is. No reaction?
Oh, oh, hi. Sorry, it took me a second to get everything loaded.
Hi.
How are you guys?
We're doing great. We're
I,
good.
I
We're
started
here.
recording to get your reaction because I'm not telling you who was on the podcast.
You must love Patty.
And yet,
Look at her. She's just like, it's a
it's
Patty. It's always a Patty thing.
She had no idea.
Well, it's funny because, like, Matt, I've known you for a long time. Yet you and I have worked together. We've known
Yep.
each other, and I've never met you, Patty. This is my first time
and
too.
now we have. Now we
He
have.
didn't
So,
tell me who we had.
Your mom knew.
Hi. Right. We're gonna have a talk after this.
Hey, we had to keep it a secret. This was a special one.
Yeah, it was.
Mm-hmm. All right, are you gonna stick around or you're gonna leave?
I'm gonna go.
Okay, say your goodbyes, Natalie.
See you, Natty.
People.
Love you, sweetie.
Natalie, it was nice to see you again. Okay.
Okay, see you later.
Matt, you're like in a room full of females. You are so screwed.
Hey, I live in a house full of females.
That is true.
Okay, so anyways, Jada, are you ready? Are you over the shock of what's going on here?
Yep, go for it.
All right, here we go. All right, welcome into another episode of Nightmare Stories the Other Side. Tonight we're all about psychic mediums. We welcome in Diet Renee, Patty Negri for I think the fourth time on this podcast, and Jessie Hawthorne, who holds the record. This is either her eighth or ninth podcast appearance. So welcome in, ladies, and how are you all doing tonight?
great. Good to be here.
Yes. This podcast was originally supposed to happen back in December at the Sheldon, but kind of got lost in the shuffle of the night.
As things do.
Yes. So with that, I told Jada I was going to do the introductions and then turn it over to her, let her collect herself because I'm sure she's still in a little shock.
So he told me that we were talking about like mediums, and I didn't want to get straight into that. I just kind of wanted to like acclimatize our way in. So the first thing that I wanted to ask you guys is where your most recent investigations have been at.
Okay.
That's my last one.
Who wants to go first?
Patty.
Patty's first.
Patty's
Okay,
first. Yet
Patty.
you answer second. I'll do third. I'm the baby.
I'll go fourth because I had an investigation too, but I'm not a medium, so.
Okay. You count. You still count. Actually, when I think about it, I was going to go the one I just did last week, but I can't talk about it yet because I don't know when this is going to air. I just did a Ghost Adventures, kind of like, can you get here now? It's like, what? Oh, it's always like, did I wash my hair today? You know, you guys are really got to give girls more notice than this. Yeah, it's like I was teaching a class that night, but I got there, so I can't talk about that yet. That's the one I was going to jump in because it's really good. It's here in Southern California one that location. I know the location well. I did not think was haunted at all, and I got it. And was like, what the heck is this? Yeah, but you'll just have to wait. My one before that is I went back to the Hollywood Women's Club, which is also a local place for us because we have it's crazy haunted too. It's got all the history of like it's 100 years old. It's had a fire. There's been good things and bad things and horrible things. First school in Hollywood, scary celebrity stuff. I actually sent Ghost Adventures there, done overnight there, done with Kelsey Davies there. But my friend Linda the ghost hunter and I do this little public things there. This place is crazy. So I've never had, because we all have the tools. We have the trip wires, the rib pods, of this and that. I have never, we did the trip wires around in a circle. This one's out now, I think, on Kelsey Davies's page. It's like all the lights would light up together. They would flash together. They would do, I've never ever seen anything boom, boom. It was like choreographed flashing Disney parade of electronics in the middle of this Women's Club of Hollywood that was a kids' school. Ever since they found some bones in the back, which they haven't had tested yet, because the tough thing is that if you test it and you find they are human bones, then the police shut you down. They were going to do it on Ghost Adventures and they didn't. Elton on his filming was going to do it and didn't, but everybody goes and films there, but you don't want to get shut down. So we're just thinking they look sort of like human bones, but don't tell the police yet.
Right.
That was my last one, which was public. People can come join us, and I always end up doing a seance. And again, it's certainly not all negative, because I like fun, happy ghosts. The time before that I was there, Debbie Reynolds showed up, the old actress, blonde, cute.
Okay.
Yeah.
And unbeknownst to me, around the upper stairs room was like a library room where we were. There was all these music stands. They had just got them. They were Debbie Reynolds music stands from her
that
had
makes
just
sense.
recently closed museum or something. So there she was. So it's nothing like fun, like happy ghost, happy to be there and get the spotlighting. So that's my most recent. It was really fun.
Like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it. Okay, well, my most recent was one of my abscondings. I mean, I did a telephone one yesterday, but that was just to walk through to see if somebody wanted to buy a building or not. And I literally am on the phone going, hey. So literally it's one of the absconding adventures that me and Larry Eisler doing. It's he just says, hey, Diet, what are you doing on this day?
Yep.
Nothing. Okay, Larry, what time are you going to pick me up? And what should I wear? Because I don't like to be cold. I don't connect very well when I'm cold. So, and he was like, I'm going to pick you up at this time. I should have you home about, 9 or 10. It's close. Okay. I'm really oblivious to anything that's really anywhere when it comes to haunted stuff, just because I always tell people I'm like the least paranormal in the paranormal field, and I'm okay with that. I'm good with that. So like he picked me up and he took me to the Tinker Cottage. Now I'd heard about the
Nice.
Tinker. I'd heard about it, but
I
really wanted to go. But
I
had
got
no clue.
updates for you
Oh,
on
okay.
that too. So when you're
Awesome.
done, I'll tell you.
Okay. I'd heard about, I like, oh my God, I want to go to the Tinker Cottage, but I had no clue what the heck the Tinker Cottage was. Like, absolutely no clue. Everybody's like, Tinker Cottage is so cool. And I'm like, okay, I just want to go. So he gets me there. Of course, we stop a little bit. And Larry hooks me up for everything. Because he likes to film. Everything's got to be filmed. You know what I mean? I love him. So he takes me there, and we end up being outside for an hour, and I was underdressed. Just, it was cold. But I couldn't figure out where the heck I was because I'm walking around and I'm going, oh my gosh, Larry, I feel like I'm walking up to the Winchester house. I don't understand it. I feel like this house just keeps morphing and growing. And like it was supposed to be this, and it turns into this, and it's got specialties, special rooms, and all this stuff. And then we keep walking to the side of the house. I'm like, okay, and now I'm seeing kids. I'm seeing kids everywhere. And we walked further in the back. I'm like, okay, there's a stream here, but it feels like it was like a big river. And there's kids swimming in this. But I really want to go over there. So across the bridge I go, over the bridge, and he's like, what do you feel? And I'm like, I want to go there. He goes, yeah, you can't go there. That's public railroad lane. I'm like, watch me. You know what I mean? Off I go. So here I am, literally over the rail tracks, through the fence, over to this area. I'm like, okay, no, he's like, what do you hear? I was like, gunshots everywhere, lots of gunshots. And I'm like, it's like military, pop, 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 pop. He's like fast. I'm like, not like ours, not like the new, 100 shots in a minute. This is like 16 shots in a minute if you're lucky. But I keep hearing pop, 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 pop. And I see disease and I see people dying and I feel like I've got the plague, but people are dying over there and being housed over there, but the shots are here. And I'm like, I don't know where you have me. And then he turns me around. We walk back to safe ground. And then I want to walk over to where there's a cemetery, but I can't see a cemetery and I can't get to the cemetery. But I'm like, Larry, there's dead people over there. And
Mhm.
And he's just laughing at me because I have no clue what's going on. He's just taking it in. And I'm like, let's go up front. And we go to walk up front. He goes, walk over there. I said, what? To the Native American burial ground? He's like, how do you know this stuff? And I'm like, I don't know.
Nice.
I don't know. And it's literally only like a small circle that they've had
Yeah.
tested, right? And I'm standing on it. But on the way there, all of a sudden I start limping and I grab my side. He's like, why are you limping? I said, because my hip hurt. Robert lost part of a leg and his hip hurts. And
Yep.
I got a name. I was excited, and
Yeah.
he's like, oh hell. Oh my God. You know what I mean? It turns out the owner who originally built the house, he had an injury and gangrene and blah blah, and ended up cutting off until it was above the ankle. And then, it just kept going. Like, and I kept going, Larry, this makes no sense because I feel like I've jumped into every timeline there possibly is, but I think I've hit all of them. You know what I mean? And then I'm hitting in two different women, and I'm like, I mean, is this guy Polly? What's going on? Because I'm seeing two women, and I'm seeing one over here and one over here, and then we finally get to go into the house, and I'm staying in this house at night. I swear I'm in the Winchester house, and I'm
Yep.
like, and these people are spiritualists, and she's like, how do you know? I said, because of that mirror. What do you mean? There's a mirror up there. It has absolutely no. The front porch, which is an inside like glassed in front porch, but it's like a terrarium. So it's beautiful garden in here. And up where there's absolutely no sense of a mirror, there's a mirror all the way up the
Mhm.
corner. And they're like, what do you get on that? I said, he's got a belief. He's got a strong belief. Well, how do you know? Because that's a mirror to scare off, spirits, negative spirits. That's what that's for. And it's a little high, but there you go. And but then when we got in the house, everything shifted. And I'm like,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, now I'm with the family and I'm talking now to ancestors. And we found out later on that the Tinker Cottage has literally been about everything, I think. And it's had a military base around it, and it had the plague around it, and there is a cemetery that the kin are buried in, and this it keeps going. And there is a Native American burial ground where it's been tested, and it goes down like 16 feet.
Yep.
I mean, it's just the stuff in this land and this house is just amazing. And
Wow.
if
Mhm.
I've ever been so confused in my life going into an investigation and total trust, this was total. I mean, we're talking give up anything you would ever think, ego, thought process. I'm just a flighty person going into this because I'm all over the place. And I hope somebody understands where I'm at because I have no clue.
That's
And
amazing. I want to
it
go
was so
there.
much fun, Patty. You would have
You
I
loved
want to
it.
go.
should.
So
I,
magical in so many beautiful ways.
I like the
And
name, the Tinker.
yeah, the Tinker House
Yeah.
is
So
so
Robert
awesome.
Robert Tinker built it and he loved Swiss architecture. So that's why it's the
Oh,
Tinker Swiss Cottage. It's in Rockford, Illinois. I've probably been there 10 times now.
wow. No. Next time I'm somewhere in Illinois, I want to go. Speaking of the
Yeah.
Winchester Mystery House, it wasn't an
I know, I was
investigation there
so
for 2 weeks
jealous.
ago for the Super
Jealous.
Bowl to predict the Super Bowl. But we did our own, even though it was an investigation, I'm there with like 50 press people going, there's spirits over here and there's spirit. We ended up doing a seance afterwards. It was,
Oh,
I love the Winchester.
I
Those,
was so jealous. I was like, I want to go. I want to go.
Right.
I want to go.
Never been there. One day I'll
Neither have
get out
I.
that
gotta get there. Anyway,
way.
but how fun, Deanne.
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun just to be able to play. It was like playing. As a
Mhm.
medium, when you get to go and you get to play, and
Mhm.
it wasn't like the series, but it wasn't like, oh my gosh, I got to find the story because it was like, this story's been told. There's nothing to uncover. There's nothing
Yeah.
to say, oh my gosh. It was just playtime. And it was
They
so fun to
love
have
having
to
yeah, they
play.
love people. They
Yep.
and
Yeah,
they like to play with us. That's why it's one of my favorite places, which last place I pretty much investigated was the cottage.
the cottage.
Yeah, so Larry, when you guys did the gallery thing, so Larry and
Yeah.
I were inside investigating.
Hmm.
It was so funny because so I'm really good with dowsing rods, and so he was like, "Hey Robert, I got some questions for you." And he was, everybody's watching, the crowd and everything. And he's like, "So I want to know what rooms when I was here with Diet last, you talked to her the most in." And he's naming off the rooms and the rods are going to yes and to no. And Larry's like, Okay, just so everybody knows, Jessie was not there. She has no idea these answers, and they're all correct. It was so funny. I was like, well, that's cool. So
Mhm.
I investigated there for a little bit, and then I did I don't know, I guess you could say a lot of Facebook Live investigation because my team, we were all supposed to go to the King and Queens bar and grill in Wisconsin yesterday.
You didn't make it?
My fiance had to put his cat down yesterday.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
So I wasn't gonna leave him, you know.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, I'm not gonna go. So but they did a live and I'm like, ooh, so I popped on the live and I'm watching. And I don't know. I'm sure you guys are the same. I don't like to know anything where I go.
No,
Just
nothing. I don't want to know
yep.
anything.
I don't want to know anything. So it's just out of validation purposes. So they're in the basement and they turn towards this one teeny tiny room with a chair.
Mhm.
And I'm like, there is a very tall, angry man in there. And Ed's like, yep, you're right. That's one of the things that people have said, and he's come through. And I'm like, oh, cool. And then he was doing like a sweep of the basement. And I was like, dude, there's a little girl in that corner. Just I don't know, a feeling. I'm like, I think there's a little girl in the corner. And he's like, actually, yeah, you're right. We talked to her a little bit ago. And she's scared of the man you just mentioned. And I'm like, oh wow, I'm not even there right now. And then they were doing a pan around of the bar, and I had this image pop in my head of like flappers, like 20s, the cool flapper dresses, guys with the fedoras and all this stuff. And like where the bar, like what I saw visually was all those like slot machine things that bars have now,
Yeah.
just a whole wall of those, but those were gone. And it was a bunch of people in flapper dresses with like the 20s music going. So I was like, okay, I don't know why, but I just got this image in my head of like 1920s, like you know, the alcohol and the flappers and all of this. Like, where how old is this place? And they confirmed again that it was built in like the late 1890s, I think it was, and it got turned into a bar in 1900 and then was very very known during the 1920s. So they had parties and stuff there around then. I was like, whoa, okay, well, I got validated on 3 things just on a Facebook Live. So I wasn't there in person, but I was still kind of investigating.
Yeah.
So that was cool. That made my day yesterday, especially after everything we had to go through yesterday. So
Yeah.
that was fun.
And then, so Natalie and I were fresh off an investigation last night. We were at a new location here in Minnesota, which I think we're like technically the second team to go and investigate. It's the 3223 Bridgham House in Minneapolis. I can't really get into too much details just because we haven't really gone through the footage, but a couple things that happened. Natty got, you know, her, what was it? I think it was her shoulder, then her arm touched by, which we think was one of the child spirits that lives there. And then she also saw a person all in white briefly standing in the back alley, which there was nobody out there. She saw him and then he was gone. So it was an interesting night.
That's cool.
Yeah.
My microphone.
Okay, so the next question that I had written down for everybody is how would you describe, because I know that they can vary and I know that they can be different. How would you describe your abilities to someone who doesn't possess them?
I went first last time, so somebody else should.
Okay, Jesse's first.
Okay.
We'll rotate.
Yeah, we'll rotate. Well, I'm still getting a handle on mine because I pushed it away for so long. But one thing I tell a lot of people is I just know things. I don't know why, I don't know how, but I just know things. Sometimes a name will pop up into my head randomly. Like last night they were asking questions and an answer would pop into my head. I'm not there, so I don't know what the spirit box is saying. There's no way to contaminate what I'm hearing in my head. So it's definitely like an extra sensory. I know things, and sometimes things just pop into my head like you randomly think of something, but I'm not thinking of anything. It just boop. That's usually how I describe it, I guess.
All right, thank you.
For me, I hear predominantly, which
Okay.
I really enjoy that. I don't like to play Pictionary, images. It's I call it Pictionary because it's like, oh God, oh God. Um, so I will see images. So don't get me wrong, it shows up, they're there, but it's really because I get a commentary along with the image a lot of times. So it's just not seeing the image, it's really kind of brings them back together. But I think like with most people, all the abilities are there. It's just my hearing is stronger than anything else. But the knowing, the feeling, taste, smells, it's all there. It's just, and it becomes everyday conversation. I guess it's the best way. It's just an extra conversation that other people are privileged to have along with me. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Hmm.
for me, I think that's the best way to say it for myself anyway.
Mhm.
Okay. Could you go a little bit further into what you mean by you can taste stuff?
Oh,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
taste. Yeah, taste. Um,
Just like
if you
tasting.
have, if I describe to you like ice cream, hot fudge ice cream with strawberries and sprinkles and the cherry on top, and if I go further into depth, you can almost taste it. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Mhm.
Okay.
So it's kind of like the same scenario. So spirit will have you taste something, without having the description with it. So it's like, or you'll get faint smells, like I
Mhm.
know whenever my grandpa's around, or I used to when he was around, because I would smell pipe smoke. Nobody else could smell the pipe smoke. I could smell the pipe smoke. I could be doing a reading and all of a sudden be like, gosh, you loved apple pie. Oh my God, it's so good. I can taste it. Like they'll put all of that hint of cinnamon. Oh, that's interesting, because it's something that spirit's giving. So they'll use all your senses. There's
Mhm.
not a sense you don't have that spirit doesn't use.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know that. Thank you for
Yeah.
going into more
That,
detail on
that
that.
that's all the clairs. Yeah, thank you. And
Yeah.
both Dia and I both teach this. We
Yep.
have the clairvoyance, clairgustance, clear seeing, smelling, tasting,
Mhm.
knowing, just feeling. They're all the different clairs, and we all have a stronger one. And I do believe
Mhm.
everybody has it, and we can all
Yeah.
develop it. The taste one is a good one for me to tell how illness or how they died.
Oh.
How many times have you got that? People, it tastes metallic, metally. It's
Hmm.
taste of blood,
Hmm.
and they were shot in the head, something like that.
Yep.
But I do work with people. I have them like in class, real live Zoom, look around a room and then see how they are. Is it more visual? Is it more? Is it remembering? Is it a feeling? Is it emotional? To see what your strong ones are.
Yep.
I'd like to put them all together and just use them all however you go there because I've been doing it since I was a kid. But in
Hmm.
Yeah.
teaching people, you learn which are your strong ones. So you learn which ones to rely on when you need to and which ones to develop. Anybody can do it.
I always tell, I mean, I don't
Wow.
know about you, Patty, but I always tell people it's like heart surgery. If I went to school, I could learn to be a heart surgeon.
Yeah,
I could study really hard and I'd be able to do it and blah blah. I don't think you want me to do the surgery, even if I got an A,
right.
because it's not necessarily my path. But could I do it if I worked really hard? You know, it's the same thing. Everybody's got abilities.
Yeah.
You work
Yeah.
harder, you're going to develop them. But not everybody's supposed to go be a working medium.
Mhm.
No,
If it's just not your
no.
path, it's not your path. But where you're
Right.
born with them, gosh, right, you are.
That's what I always say that about piano. Everybody can learn to play piano. I took piano for 2 or 3 years. You will never see me on a concert stage, but I can plunk out some easy sheet music. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what it does help people, even if they don't want to go become a professional medium, it helps them
Mhm.
tap into their intuition, which we all need to do to get out of our head, to tap into that intuition.
Yeah.
Um, Even if you just use it in your day-to-day life.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. And you said that like not everybody needs to make a career out of this. So you guys did end up doing that. But whenever you were growing up, is there anything that you were like, "Oh, I want to do that," before you really discovered your abilities?
Oh, rotating. Patty, you're
Oh,
first.
my
No,
turn.
no,
Okay.
no. This time
Well,
it'd be
I
Diet goes
This
first.
time it's me first.
oh dear.
Okay.
Um, it's really funny. I did not I didn't want to know exactly what I wanted to be when I grew up. I will tell you what, I was a very confused child, I will say, because I never said I wanted to be a doctor or a lawyer or anything like that. But I did have a fascination with, like, I don't know if y'all remember, if it's just my generation, where you'd go to the gym for, assemblies, and we had this little stage, like in elementary school. And I can remember just fantasizing about being this little girl, or this girl up there on like a trapeze, and just kind of like being the star, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a solo person. I can remember entering like talent competitions, and I wanted to be by myself, and I would dance. I did the same three steps for like, I don't know, 3 minutes, but I did it by myself. I didn't want anybody else on stage with me. And it wasn't like I want to be, oh my gosh, I want to be this big star, and I don't think it was that. It was just, I wanted to be individual. I wanted to be known. I
Yeah.
wanted to be a person, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
But I didn't know what it was I wanted to do. I just knew I wanted to individualize. I knew I didn't want to, per se, I don't want to say not be part of a group, but where it's like, it's kind of like being a team. Every member on the team has their own activity. You know what I mean? And I knew my activity would be over here, even if I was part of a team. Um, but I never had this, did I go on to be a nurse for 21 years? Yeah. Did I like it? Not so much. But did I keep at it? Yeah, because everybody went, you need something to fall back on. It's solid. It's
Yeah.
what it is. It's where you need to be. And I didn't have enough in here to say no, it's not. And I've known my whole life I was supposed to do something, what I guess as a kid I knew was supposed to be special, which is really contradicting to everything I talk about our abilities, because I always tell people you're not gifted. I never want to hear the word you're gifted, because we all have it. Um, but I will say, it feels pretty darn special to have them and to be able to use them and to help people. So I guess that's the best I can say.
Perfect. Thank you.
For me, this is the last thing I wanted to do.
I love your story, Patty.
Yeah, no, this is the last thing. I was a Hollywood kid. I was a dancer. I'm not a good singer, but I got my Screen Actors Guild singing with Frank Stallone, Sylvester Stallone, Rocky, a Rocky movie. I was always been, and I'm the team player. Not, I didn't do stand up. I did improv and sketch. I was part of theater groups. I was part of everything, not the solo person. But then when I got too old for Hollywood at age 30, I
Oh,
just
jeez.
I was well, I'll be a producer, and then I'll hire myself to do my shows and whatever. So I produced for 20 years. But this was my private life. I was known for seances privately, not publicly. I was known for being a witch privately, not publicly. But in 2000, and I ran a very successful, very corporate production company. And in 2008, there was a big corporate crash, kind of like a big crash. It was corporate entertainment became a dirty word, because that was like all the Epstein kind of stuff. And corporate entertainment meant hookers on a jet. And I'm like, that's not what we're doing. We're teaching, team building to the HR department at Union Bank of California, but it kind of crashed and burned. And again, I'm in the middle of Hollywood working both sides of the camera. And somebody had called me up and said, Patty, we need you to do a seance on a reality show. And I'm like, nope, my private life can, thank you, but no, I can't. Please, we don't know anybody else who could do it. I'm like, no, thank you, no, I can't. And I'm sitting there looking at my empty calendar going, oh my God, I don't have any work. And I'm like, no, well, what's the name of the show? And they go, well, it's called Mobile Home Disaster, and it's on country music television. And I'm like, ugh, who would watch that? I don't know a single person who watched a stupid show called Mobile Home Disaster on country music television. Well, maybe I could just do this once. I did it. It was the most fulfilling, joyous thing I had ever done. I got to help a spirit crossover who was kind of stuck. I got to help a human little girl who everybody thought was crazy because she was drawing portals on the ceiling of her motorhome. I'm like, no, there are portals on the ceiling of her motorhome. I got to, almost best of all, open the minds of the Southern Bible Belt cast and crew that this isn't dark and this isn't evil and this isn't negative. And I'm like, this is the funnest day I've ever had, but never again, never again, never again. Okay. It aired like 2-3 months later. And like, wow, that was good. I know how to be on camera. I'm legit. This is good. the next morning, my first phone call was from my biggest national corporate client. Hi, Patty. Hi. I saw you on television last night. Yeah. I didn't know you were into the paranormal. I'm like, oh my God, my life is over. My biggest client. I'm like, yeah, as my voice breaks. She goes, I'm paranormal, and proceeded to tell me her first ghost story. I'm like, what the heck am I doing? I'm out of the broom closet. I'm out of the psychic medium closet. I'm out of the paranormal closet, and I haven't looked back. I don't even have time. I still own my production company. I've been throwing away folders for 2 days doing organization. I don't have time to do it. And this is so much more fulfilling and fun. It's doing a song and dance extravaganza to teach ethics to oilmen is kind of funny, but getting to do the fun stuff we do is so much more fun. Yeah, so that's it. Last thing I ever wanted to do. I've been a doctor, lawyer, Indian chief. I do have a school. I do have a streaming network. I do have a podcast. I'm an author, but this is the last thing. But sometimes we're just drawn, and I love every second of it.
Well, I'm nowhere near as like famous as you guys. I'm still working out my kinks and everything. Like I'm in the middle of writing a book, and Patty, you were the only other person that has said paranormal closet. I've been saying that for 2 years because I'm like, oh, I came out of the paranormal closet in 2023. And everyone's like, I've never heard that before. You're the only other person I've heard that said that. That's
Great
funny.
minds think alike. Great minds
Right.
think alike.
Well, for the childhood stuff, Deanne, I'm similar with you. Like I would always do solo stuff, like for talent shows and everything. And then I did remember wanting to do something with animals, but then thought about having to euthanize them. And I'm like, I can't do that. And then my dad died when I was 10 and I saw his body and everything. And then that messed my head up. So I was in therapy for most of my life, all through like high school and stuff. And so I was like, you know what? I'm fascinated by, the human brain. So I got into psychology and I wanted to be a psychologist and have like my own practice to help like low income families because that's where I came from and everything. And was on the road to do that. And then the universe was like, nope, you're not doing that. And I ended up moving up north. And now I'm delving more into so I guess the universe just was like, this is what you're supposed to do. Because as soon as the thought crossed my mind of, I wonder how I could do like paranormal expos or be on podcasts. Like, I wonder how that would happen. And then literally the universe, like, here's something here, here, here. And it kept throwing stuff my way. So I'm just like, whoop, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. So now I guess you could say my goal in life is I want to write my book and I want somebody to read it that thinks that they're alone like I was and have that help them. Like I want the whole reason I came out of the paranormal closet is so other people can know that they're not alone and that there are other people like them. They're not the only one that might be different and that it's okay and that there's a whole slew of people that are like that. So that's my goal right now.
That's great, honestly. And it's so refreshing to hear that you guys started out in like entertainment because I'm a dancer and it's so awesome to hear all of you guys talk about that. I'm a competitive dancer.
Yeah.
And um I I felt for the longest time like growing up I was like, "Oh, I have to know this. I have to research this. I have to know about this religion. I have to know about this tribe in order to actually make it." And I think in the past few years I've kind of like set back and I'm like, that's not getting me anywhere, so I just need to do what I'm good at. So I did, and it just wasn't fulfilling. And then a few months, or like at the beginning of the year, I got a text from Matthew to my mom, and he wanted to have me on for like a junior investigators podcast. And I was like, oh, let's do it. And I think that just letting everything come to me worked out better than looking for it myself. And then, so my next question for you guys is kind of feeding off the last one that I just asked, but when was it that you discovered you had abilities?
Back to
Who's first
Patty.
this time?
I guess
Jesse, we'll go back to you.
Okay, you want me to go first? Okay.
Sure.
um Technically I found out I had abilities when I was a kid because I grew up on an Indian burial ground and I had these black 10-foot tall shadow things in the woods with red eyes that would stare in. Like our house had cottage windows, so they were very high windows. So being a kid, I couldn't even reach them, and there were these red eyes just staring in at me when I was young, and I was
Mhm.
always scared to go outside. And I would try to talk to other people like, yeah, there's these like big tall black things with red eyes in the woods, and they watch me and they're, what the hell are you talking about? Like, you don't see stuff like that? Okay. And then, it kind of just escalated from there to where I'm just like, I can't talk about this. So
Mhm.
probably around age 5, then I blocked it out. And then puberty hit, it came back, I blocked it out again, and then it came back again. So like literally it's just like, I'm gonna be here. Like, you can't block me out anymore. I'm here. You need to listen. So I've been, I guess you could say, accepting of it and trying to work with it for probably about 3 or 4 years now.
Okay. That's absolutely insane to see as a kid. I'm sorry about that.
No, it was, I see, it was never scary. I've been seeing since I was 4 or 5 that same thing, but it was never scary. It was, most spirits are good, just like most people are good. You go to a mall, you go to a baseball game,
Mhm.
there might be a serial killer in there. There's certainly some grumpy people and things, but most people are good. It was great. And I was always literally obsessed with the dead. I did my first seance, I was 7 or 8 in my little suburban Los Angeles home in the hall where there was no windows because it was broad daylight, stuffed towels under the door, realized I didn't know dead people, came up with my first chant filled with orbs and lights and shadows. And as I went screaming outside, I was also jumping up and down. I really do think kids have it. It just gets taught out of us in our,
Mhm.
I always say this,
Mhm.
modern, Western, complete
Mhm.
Yeah.
logical focused, non-mystical society. It all becomes your imaginary friend, which are
Yep.
great too. We need imaginary friends, but they're not all imaginary. So, and my grandma, my mom always went, yeah, grandma did that too. So it didn't get taught out of me. I didn't have any, ooh, that's evil religious upbringing or anything like that. So
Oh, lucky.
didn't get on the witchy side too. I would be in my, look again, suburban LA backyard picking herbs and rosemaries and putting them in my mom's wallet to give her more money and doing this.
Oh, that's cool.
She didn't always understand that. It's like, why are you putting dirt in my purse? No, no, this is for money. Like, no, no. And yes, it is. Now you study all that later. It's like, yes, it's in us. It's just in us.
That's so cute. Okay.
Um, it's really weird because for me, I didn't recognize that I had abilities until, I mean, it's obvious abilities until my 40s, like 2013, 2014. Um, Not that they weren't there, but I didn't recognize what they were, if that
Mhm.
makes sense. It wasn't until I took a class because the place I worked at burnt down and I didn't have a job and I had nothing to do. Class popped on. I'll take a class. What I'm interested. I'm a psychic. I'm a psychic jumper. I go to everybody else and get readings. Not thinking anything of it. And holy crap, it was like, oh my gosh, I can do this, and I don't even know what I'm doing. And I got certified not once but twice because I don't believe I did not believe in myself. Um, and when I went back and really looked at my life, I'm like, it's been here my whole life. It really was. I mean, I was a child that was terrified to get out of my own bed at nighttime because I knew things were there.
Yep.
I couldn't see them. I couldn't hear them. I just could feel them.
Yep.
I could feel spirit. My whole life, I just knew things. Like my mom would say, "Shut up, you don't know everything." I swore that was my middle name, because I just knew I was a know-it-all. I mean, I put my hand up before my teachers asked the question. That was me my whole growing up, and nobody understood it. I didn't get it. I didn't understand it. I played that through nursing school, and they would tell me to put my hands down. Um, even to the point where when I went to be a nurse, I failed out the first time. And when I failed out, they looked at me and I tried to find out why. Like, I have like A's, what are you doing? And my instructor going, Diet, this is what's going on. What's that? You have an ability to, when you walk into a patient's room, yeah, you know the answer before asking the question. And I looked at her and said, "Isn't that a good thing?" "Well, I think you might be in the wrong profession."
uh,
"Okay, well, what's the
Okay.
right one?" "I don't know. Guess who I went to a different school when I got my degree, you know?" Um, I would see things before they happened my whole life. I mean, it's always been there and it's always been very strong. But I didn't know that's what it was. There was nobody in my family to say, "Hey," my mom didn't recognize it.
Yep.
I'm half adopted, which means my biological father,
I'm
gave his rights away to
adopted.
me. Yeah. And it really strong on with him and his side of the family. So it wasn't with my mom that, we were tobacco farmers, we're, a small Midwest Wisconsin town, and abilities wasn't something that,
Yep.
wasn't there. I mean,
That's
if
how it
they
was
had,
for me too.
you know,
Yeah.
straight up, if my family had abilities, my uncle would have had 10 fingers instead of 8. You know what I mean? He would have seen it coming, at a very young age. And I mean, it's just that's really where it was. So for me, it's not until after I really started working with it and went, wow, I look back over my life and went, holy crap, it's always been there. It's always been a part of me. I didn't know it. I didn't know it. It was just me. I was just
What,
always odd one out in school, at home, everywhere.
yeah. What's interesting too is like with me, I didn't really think abilities or gifts. I just knew I was weird or different and
Hmm.
nobody liked that. And then I saw Psychic Kids on TV once and I'm like, what? Like, wait, there's like these are called abilities? Like what this what? And so then I'm like, okay, and then I started going down that rabbit hole.
Matthew, do you have any questions?
Not that I can think of. Just kind of let you keep rolling with it.
All right, great. So, sorry, I'm so new at this. I'm so sorry.
It's
You're
no, you're
doing you're
good.
doing
You're
You're
great.
doing a
great.
good job. You're doing a good job.
Doing a great job.
Thank you so
Good
much.
questions, good hosting.
Thank you. So, my next question for you guys. I think that you know your little rotation by now, but the next question that I have to ask you guys is from my mom, and she wanted to know, whenever you guys see entities, do you feel as if they are literal, like you can actually see them, or that they manifest somewhat in your mind, like just for you?
Who goes first?
That's a Patty first.
Okay, I'll
Okay, there you go.
okay. With me again, let's getting right back to that early question, the Claire question.
Mhm.
I've been doing it so long, I don't go, am I seeing it, smelling it, tasting it, feeling it, or just knowing it? It's like there's an entity there. Sometimes I am literally seeing it. There's a shape of a blob over here. Sometimes I'm just seeing it inside my third eye. Sometimes I just know it's there. Sometimes I just feel it's there. Again, in the moment, I'm not trying to analyze it, because then that throws you into that logical left brain again, which
Mhm.
kind of messes up the intuition. So you don't want to overthink things until you have to decipher it or something.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
That's how I do it. It's just like it's just there. I just
Right.
know it, see it, smell it, taste it, or feel it. It's just there, or a little bit of both. All, yeah.
I love that.
You're right. Well, since I'm still relatively new, there's been times where I see it in my head, like I'll just like, a face pops into my
Yeah.
head or a name pops into my head. Or there was one time I was on investigation with Chris Fleming at Tinkerswiss Cottage, where I'm sitting there and he's kind of standing up, and I saw this black mist with my eyes like fly across this window, and I looked. And Chris looks at me. He goes, "Did you just see that?" I was like, "Yeah, like this black mist." He goes, "Did it move right to left?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Okay, you saw the same thing I did." And I was just like, oh, "Cool," So it's kind of a mixture, I guess. Like I think it also kind of depends on what's there, because I do feel like there's some spirits that they aren't strong enough to physically manifest, like with their like so we can see them, but they can connect energetically, because sometimes I just feel there's a presence, and then I'll try to okay, there's somebody here, are you male or female, and I try to figure it out, and then I'm like, okay, so I guess yeah, kind of both. I kind of agree with what you said too.
Yeah. And in communication, they do it different. Some are more, you're getting emotion, and some are more visual, like pictures. Some
Yeah.
are more, they're different. Some are visual, some are audible, some are feeling, again, how they even communicate. So that's why you got to kind of learn all the different ways.
Yep.
I know I don't know if I've been lucky with it so far or not. Um, Whenever I've been in an investigation, everybody's always worried about what they kind of feel is the entity. Like everybody's giving attention to the big bad wolf in the room. And I'll be like, oh my God, why are you guys worried about that? That's just grandpa. He's been pissed off for a while. We're looking like 200 years and he's just getting angry by the day. I don't know why you're worried about him because this other guy over here, the shadowy thing that's like creeping up the walls and going up and down, blah, blah, that nobody's giving attention to. That's when we have to be worried about. But as long as you're leaving him alone, kind of put up a barrier, you're going to be good. Keep going this way, blah, blah, blah. And then look at me. And I'm like, and I've been lucky that way because to me, it's like the focus always goes to the biggest mouth in the room. And my experience so far has been the entity is not the biggest mouth in the room. The entity wants to be back here and it wants to feed off you. It wants to oppress you. It
Oh
wants to
yeah.
do whatever to you. So it's not going to be the boisterous one. It's not the one screaming with bells and whistles going, hey, here I am. Come get me. It's the shy one that is, so, so to me, it's always that, I think it might be a feeling. I don't know. Like Patty, it's there, whatever it is. And it's always, but to me, it's the secondary. It's never my primary. It's the secondary that I'm like, oh, and you're what I got to worry about. I don't have to worry about this. It's you back here. So to me, it's that faint, that thing's not nearly as strong. It's not Santa in my face. It's his little bad helper over here instead.
Mhm.
That's just giving out the coal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That type of a thing. So
Yeah, I think, I mean, the world is too demon happy. It's like, I think
Oh God, yeah.
90% of what people say is
Hmm.
demon. It's like, no, that's just cranky. Exactly what you said.
Yep,
He's
for
just
sure.
cranky. He was cranky in life and he's cranky in death,
Yep.
and
Mhm.
he wants you to know it. Yeah.
he's
Yep.
getting crankier because he's really holding a grudge.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's very old now.
That or like
So,
they're not being heard and then they just get more mad.
Yeah.
yeah. Talking about putting up walls, I was wondering what everyone's like most, I guess, monumental or what form of protection do you guys use most often, like before you go into an investigation and then just day to day?
Who's first?
I think Diet's first this
Yeah,
Not
I
time.
yet.
think
I gotta
so.
undo this before I can talk. You guys go first.
Okay, Jesse, you're
Okay,
first.
I'll go first. So I had like a one-on-one with Chris Fleming back in January, and he pretty much told me from now on just go wherever I'm going and set intentions. So my intentions are to communicate with who or whatever is in said building or space, in a positive manner. So I've been trying to do that more often. I also am a Reiki master, so I put up a little Reiki bubble, and only beings of positivity, love, and light can go through my bubble. And then this has happened before where I do that, and I get exhausted. Like I know
Yeah.
something's drained my energy. So
Mhm.
I'll tell it to, okay, you need to stop. Like you need to back off. Like I can't function. I can't do anything. Please back off. And if it doesn't, I found rubbing my feet in black salt gets it to shoot back to wherever it came from, and then I feel better. So that's like my last resort is rubbing my feet in some black salt outside of said location. Um I've never really had to I sage my house every now and then, just to sage it for good purposes and stuff, but yeah, black salt's the last resort, and I try to just go in with love and light, and just nothing negative is allowed to harm me is the way I do it kind of.
Okay, great.
Go ahead, Patty. I'm
Okay.
still untwining.
Okay. Untwining. Okay.
I'm untwining.
Untwining. And I agree. Intent is everything. Is everything. My big go-to is I always make sure that the portal on the back of the head is closed, because we want no, and so many people don't even know it's there. We
Yeah.
want this one open, the third eye right here, this,
Yeah.
because we want to see and sense. But the one on our back of our head, that's the one that spirits get in if you want to channel and you know what you're doing, great. But going on investigation, I have people shut that. That's why when you pray, you bow your head to open it up for God for spirit.
Oh,
You
wow.
have some protection oil or something, or just rub your fingers. I'm shutting this down. Intent. I do a lot with black tourmaline. That's my favorite stone.
Yep.
A lot with the Helm of All sigil. It's a rune. It's the 8-sided cross. Here, I have a little sticker. It's shiny though. You can't probably see it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I see it. Cool.
This is, to me, it's like sacred geometry. It's
Yeah.
energy comes in and just blasts it out. I know people who've got like their whole head tattoo is like, that's a little much. You can buy a little medallion and just stick it in your pocket. You could draw it on a post-it. I have it literally on a post-it under my welcome mat at my house. It keeps out bad spirits and burglars. This, to me, the sacred geometry of this. It's called Ashkawishka or Helm of Awe.
Okay.
I put these on everything. I even had a little one, and it stopped me from breaking my iPhone and losing my iPhone constantly. It's just magic.
Wow.
But intent is my number one thing. My intention going in, what I want, shut this down unless I know I'm going to be channeling by choice and how much allow into channel. And then I use lots of herbs and oils and things and like that as needed.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I had to untangle, because what I have here is because of Patty. Because literally, I would do investigations, go as a medium or whatever, and not know what I was doing. I'm fine, I'm good, I'm whatever. And I got jumped by not one but two. And technically, I guess what you would call possessed. And with their series, one got out easy, one was took a little bit more to get out. And honestly, it was the first time I'd seen Patty in probably a year, and it was at Michigan Paracon. And I went up to him like, different people, like I reached out to different people like, oh my God, what happened? Blah, blah, blah. I'm not understanding this. And of course, everybody's kind of coming through with the same thing. And Patty's like, you didn't close this off. What do you mean? Yeah, this one's got to get closed. Where do you think it jumped in at? Well, the first one jumped in here. The second one snuck in the back. And Patty, right off the back, says, you need the helmet on. Now, I need what? And she showed it to me. So literally, mine is on hematite.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
I literally left Patty that Saturday night and ordered this off Amazon on the way home. You know what I mean? And I wore this for a year because I didn't feel I was responsible enough to put up my intention every time, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So this stayed on my person. I never took it off. I went everywhere. Now it's much more of a touch. And it's so funny because it hangs on the thing with all my pendulums, and it's fallen off over a few times. So it got hung up on there. And it actually came up into an attention last week. And I thought, oh, I'll just leave it. I'll talk about it, whatever. It's tied up. It's fine. So when it comes up again, I'm like, oh, I need you again, don't I? It's like spirit going, you need this again. We're bringing it to your awareness, untangle, blah, blah, blah. So it tells me I'm going someplace, or for some reason, I'm going to have this on my person again.
Interesting.
So, and it's my extra. So I do have I have my intention. I do believe in the words of Chip Coffey. I watched Chip not that long ago, a few years ago on stage, and people asked him that question. He goes, this is what it is. He shows what's around his neck. He goes, this is where my faith is. Your faith might be a cross. Your faith might be a crystal.
I was there for that.
Your faith might be you need a pop can, and this pop top from a can is your faith. Wherever you put your faith in, put your faith in that and go through that. This is going to help protect me. And again, it goes into faith. It goes into your belief, your intention, your faith of I'm protected, I'm surrounded, I'm going to be safe. Close off a few extra things you don't need to have open. Don't have, when you go to bed at night, what do? You lock all your doors. Lock all your doors, intentionally lock them all up. I got one, and that's the side going forward, so I can see what's coming at me.
Right. That's
So
a gorgeous
baby.
necklace. I love that
Yeah.
that's on hematite.
Oh
You
my
can
God.
buy these everywhere. This is stickers.
Yeah.
In the olden days when I started doing this, it was so hard to find that a rune of the Helm of Awe. But after all the Game of Thrones, Vikings, all these TV
Yep.
shows, they're a dime a dozen. You
Yeah.
could just draw it and stick it in your pocket.
Well, and that was just it. Because when I talked to you, Pat, you're like, you were searching through everything because it was a bad storm. You were tired. You barely gotten there, And you're like, I've always got all of them everywhere. And you're like, I can't believe I don't have one. I don't have one extra one anywhere. And you're like, here, just go to my website and draw it. And I'm like, okay. She's like, you need it now. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. I went to her website on the way home, or I was actually going to another part of Michigan, found it, typed it, and by the time I was home, it was on my doorstep.
Nice.
So, yeah.
3 minutes. Yeah.
In 3 minutes. 3 minutes. And I got it in hematite, which, hey, you can't. That's
No,
like extra protection
hematite,
on
that's
top of protection.
brilliant. That's
Yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah.
I didn't know about the portal back here, so
Ooh.
I will start doing that because I've been, if you want to say, possessed before, and that's been fun. So yeah, I'll start closing that down. Noted.
Yeah, that's the foibles of the trade. If you become that veterinarian or whatever, we wouldn't get possessed like now. We say, oh yeah, I've got it.
Well, I'll never forget it because Scotty Rourke seen it on because of course Larry's there and Larry's
Yeah.
FaceTime.
Oh
He's
yeah,
like
he's got it
Facebook
everywhere.
Living as I'm going, Chris Lemon, where are you? I'm going through time dimensions. I don't know what's going on the side of a highway. Scotty Rourke watched it. Gets a hold of me. All he says is, "You won't do that twice, will you?" No, Scotty, I will not. You know what I mean? Like, you do it once and you're like, it's not happening. It's a newbie thing. I don't know. I don't have enough education and I need more education.
Yep.
All right. So I'm gonna kind of shift gears with y'all for just a minute, and I want to talk about something that I'm really interested in with you guys. So I want to know if anyone has any experiences with past life regression, and if so, do you have any experiences from them, or do you know any more on how to unlock that for yourself?
I guess I have to go first because I threw
It's
that
your
one out the
turn. Yeah,
window last time.
you passed your turn.
I passed my turn. I'll jump on it. Honestly, I do. And it has something to do with like today. I'm a firm believer in past life regressions, a firm believer in it. I love it. It's healing. It's amazing. I used to be terrified of snakes. Like, oh my God, I'd see a picture
Yeah.
and I would bolt. I trained the horse I had, who was 16 years old when I got her, very much a field horse who's seen a million snakes. I trained her to be afraid of a gardener snake and bolt if she's seen one. Like she would whinny, you'd hear she'd go up, on her backs and bolt and jump a fence, get out of a pasture. I mean, that's how bad my fear was. And my granddaughter loves snakes, and I knew I was going to have to get over that fear. And I also knew it was in a past life. I didn't have any rational. I mean, I remembered one snake my whole life, and my dad was trying to get it with a big broom out of the garage. So this little garter snake striking. Who would know something like that would actually trigger a past life memory? And that's exactly what happened. It triggered you know, um, as I got older and I had kids, I had nightmares of hearing a lot of commotion in my son's bedroom. And I'd go and open up the door and there'd be this huge anaconda eating my son. And he's like, all I could see is his legs and he was already dead. And what I do, I shut the door and I'm panicking. So I had two different scenarios that I had. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's got to be past life. So I went through 2 years of hypnotherapy where one person was actually able to get to both memories. One was literally I lived in a jungle and a big old anaconda ate my very toddler son, and I came upon it going, oh my God, of course that goes when my son was born, that triggered that one. Another one in a different past life is I committed suicide. I'm not Cleopatra, but by asp. You know what I mean? It was I literally intentionally killed myself through a snake bite, which explains the very thin snake strike in the broom. I'm like, oh, there you go. But once I went through it, I came out. I don't have the fear of snakes. Like I just spent 2 days. My granddaughter's got now three snakes. I just literally spent 2 days at a snake show, reptile show, with snakes around my neck and around my arms, and I looked like put me in a belly dancing costume. It's so they're so loving and so enjoyable, you know. So for me, past life aggression, is amazing, and I think more people should do it because a lot of our issues in this lifetime are past life based.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Unreasonable fears, unreasonable everything, traumas. It doesn't necessarily have to come in the last however many years you've been born.
Okay.
my story is exactly the same. My whole life, I don't have irrational fears, but my whole life I was afraid of armored cars and railroad tracks. I live in LA. There's railroad tracks that have never seen a train in my lifetime. They're just there. No one, there's no trains. But I just get heebie-jeebies. Oh my God. And armored cars. Armored cars, you understand, because there's people with guns in there,
Yeah.
people rob them. But I would just freak out. On my first past life regression, which I actually did in college with a therapist, I died robbing a Wells Fargo train, not a stagecoach train, railroad track with that's I have a slight fear of horses. I can't like but it's all about the train and the Wells Fargo the money wagon thing. And then it's over it too. I got rid of it 95%. Just oh, that was that life. I don't have to bring that with me this life. I teach it now as well, and I go to it. And in this life, I know who I was in my last life because way back, I was pretty young, somebody said, oh yeah, and you were somebody, and this was like back in the 80s when everybody was Cleopatra. It's like Shirley MacLaine days, and like everybody was somebody famous,
Right.
but she was like, you were somebody, Barbara Lamar. I didn't know anybody. I ran to a bookstore, a silent movie star, and I found this person didn't look like me, but she had my eyes and she wrote like me, but she died at 30. I was born exactly 30 years later. I didn't die at 30, but I came into my power even stronger at 30. So all of a sudden, then I'm discovering this, like, okay, maybe I miss her, but I don't know. I like to start out skeptical, but all of a sudden the universe was throwing me into, I'd be in a grocery store with somebody would say her name, Barbara Lamar. It's like, why are you saying this name I've never heard before? Oh, I'm doing it, writing a movie about her. Who, why, what? And then somebody else, like, I'm like, okay, this is weird. This being thrown in my face. Somebody, I collect her and pictures. I go, if I'm her and she was a Hollywood girl, I'm a Hollywood girl. I should, and I knew I had a house in Hollywood. That's all I knew. There's a million houses in the Hollywood Hills. I have one. I'm like, I should know what house I built, 50, however many years ago. I drove around. All I saw was this red roof, red tile with Spanish roof. I couldn't even see the house. I go, this is my house. I didn't know if I was right or wrong because you couldn't see the pretty house. It was on a hill. It was a downslope. I picked it out, but there was a big wrought iron gate with numbers. I don't know the numbers, but 6222, whatever. Great numbers. And I go, well, I think that's a house I built. I don't know, 1920, whatever. All of a sudden, I'm in a grocery store or somewhere again, coffee, Starbucks, and I'm like, somebody's going, Barbara Lamar. Why did you say Barbara Lamar? I collect her. I'm a passionate. Why? He goes, I collect her pictures. Do you want to see her pictures? I'm like, yeah. He goes, come to my house. And I did. It's like weird, but okay, come to your house to look at pictures of Barbara Lamar. There she was standing in front of the tile red roof with that wrought iron with 62222. At the time, again, this was years ago, I left a little note in the mailbox. I go, hi. I didn't want to say I may be the reincarnation of the girl who used to live in the, I just said, I'm a local neighbor. I live down, the street or in another neighborhood. I'm a fan of the person. I would love to see the house. Of course, they never called me. Of course, they never called me. But 30, 20 years later, somebody said the Barbara Lamar house is for sale. Like, oh, okay. I called the real estate agent and I was honest. I said, I'm not really looking for a house, but I lived in the neighborhood next door to you. And people are always looking for our vintage houses. I have a vintage 20s house as well. And in my neighborhood, I'd love to come see it. She goes, okay, I'll meet you at 2:00. I went at 2:00 and she wasn't there. And I'm like, I called her up and she goes, oh, my assistant was supposed to meet you. She goes, I know who you are. She goes, here's the lockbox. You help yourself in. You don't need me there. And I'm like, I walked in. You guys have all had deja vu, right? Deja vu that didn't go away. Every second, I knew every inch, every nook, every crown. I knew what they had changed, like moderned up the kitchen, like granite. No, I don't know. There's a bookcase that's supposed to block the staircase. All this stuff I didn't know. I honestly, I don't know if I was there 5 minutes or 5 hours. That time just crashed together. It was so awesome. I stand in this window and look out and contemplate my life that wasn't that happy in lots of ways, looking out the window over the hall. Wait, I am doing that. I did do that. No, I'm doing that now. It was the coolest, weird experience ever that I've ever experienced, to have your lives crash together.
That's cool.
dream deja vu. So yeah,
Really
I'm
good.
past life. And it is to help you in this life. It's fun to know you are Cleopatra or not Cleopatra, but more than anything, the weird idiosyncrasies and stuff like Diet was saying are things that we get help with.
Interesting. I'm kind of like a little bit of both, like what you guys have talked about in a way. So, I don't really have any, I guess you could say, fears. Like my mom's terrified of water, and I'm pretty sure she probably drowned in a past life. I don't have anything that I'm like really scared of. I have a phobia, and that's that like tryphophobia, scared of like the little holes or whatever.
Trypophobia.
Yeah, if oh, I just freak out. I can't look at stuff like that.
Holes of what?
So like honeycomb, or if it's a pattern with a bunch of like, it looks like little holes, like there's plants even that like when their seeds pop out, it's
Yes.
yeah, it just freaks me out. So I need to find
Me too.
out why I'm like that. But when I was young, my mom always told me that I knew everything about like mummification, and I was fascinated with Egypt when I was a kid. Um and I kept having these recurring dreams of being in the desert, and like I was not a princess, a priestess for Isis, and somebody else was coming to power, so everybody was being hunted down. So I had this recurring dream of being hunted down in a desert, being around this campfire with horses and stuff, and then being killed. I had that dream so many times. I've never gotten confirmation on that, but because I've never been regressed. So that everybody's like, oh, that was definitely a past life. So there's that. And then also when I was younger, I have friends that always, I grew up in the country. I have friends that always told me that I always would explain to them the what footprints were for what animal, and I would tell them where they could find water or what game trails were, or like I knew all this stuff like Native Americans
Yeah.
know. And as I got older, it just kind of drifted, I guess. And then my fiance and I, we love the East Coast. So we've been out to Massachusetts a few times in the past couple years. And we went to this mountain about, I don't know, like a half hour, 45 minutes outside of Boston, going west, called like Mount Washusett. And there's a path there that if you step one wrong way, you're gonna die. Like the cliff is right there, and it was very, very, very rocky. So you had to do like big steps, little steps, be careful so you don't slip. Like you had to pay attention to what you were doing. And I mean, we've never been there before, so we're like, oh, okay, this is fun. And I don't know what happened, but I I disappeared, I guess. Like I wasn't conscious. I became conscious probably about 1 to 200 feet down the mountain from my fiance, and I'm like, what? And I look up, and he's way up there. I'm like, babe, what are you doing up there? He goes, no, what are you doing down there? I was like, what? So he told me that we were just talking, and just out of nowhere, I turned around, I started humming, and I literally just skipped down all the way down like the 1 to 200 feet. And he's like, I don't know what was that? I'm like, I don't know. I feel like I've been here before. Like I feel like I don't know. I feel like I'm a Native American or something, and that I've been here before. It was really interesting, and that's like my knowing. Like that was pretty much like the universe being like, yes, you have been here before. You had a life here before, and then that would explain in my past where everybody also asked if I was Native American growing up, because of just the way that I talked and the way that I acted. And then as like you were saying, how culture kind of gets like Western culture kind of makes all that go away. That's pretty much what happened, I think, is as I was getting older, those memories were going bye-bye. And so I haven't been regressed, but I've had two instances where I know for a fact there was something past life based that has happened.
Cool.
That's fascinating. That's really cool. Matthew, do you have anything that you want to add on that?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
No. Okay. Well.
Oh wow, it's after 9 already. Or
I
Yep.
think
after 8. Yeah.
Any final thoughts for the conversation, Jada, before we wrap things up?
I've learned far more than I've had to ask, which is insane, and I'm very glad that that was able to happen. I don't have any questions. I had like a few written down, and all of them has been answered. And once again, I didn't have to ask half of them. So
All right. Well, I
Good.
think
I
with
think I'm good.
what's that?
I said I think I'm okay. Like
Okay.
I'm all good.
All right. Well, with that, I thank you ladies for joining us tonight, and we will call it a night.
Okie dokie.
Thank you for having us.
Everybody have a
Thank
great
you.
week, and we shall all talk soon.
You
Yeah, for
too.
sure.
Thank
It
you
was
so
nice,
much.
nice to meet you, Patty.
Nice to meet you too. Great. Well, it was
Great
fun.
to
I
see
love
you
your
again,
stories. Your
Patty.
stories.
Nice to meet all of you guys.
Yeah,
Jada,
nice.
before we go, you should show Patty your little thing from her that you got.
Ah,
What?
Remember what
From
you
me?
have from Patty?
Oh, Mama, could you grab my tarot deck? It's in the window.
oh.
I'm asking my mother to retrieve it for me. Is it? It's in the window. Oh. Thank you, Squire.
Funny.
Uh,
Oh, that's cool.
It's a little tarot deck. I've opened it just once because I wanted to just shuffle the cards. I haven't gotten to read anything from it.
you can play with the cards, get to know the cards, everything perfect time. Play with them, get to know them. I'm always sitting there playing with mine. Um, if you're interested, email me and I'll send you one of my I have one class. I call it simple tarot. How you could read cards just after one session. A basic reading. You're not going to get big in depth, but enough to understand the cards. One class.
Perfect. I'll definitely check that out. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, everybody have a great night and a
You
good
Yeah.
week.
too.
All right.
Thank you. Thanks,
Yep.
Matt.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
Good night,
Bye.
guys.
Bye.
You too. Bye.